This is the business Blackbook, where billion-dollar empires are built and collapse. India has a rule. A farmer doesn't pay his loan, his land gets sold. A small businessman doesn't pay his loan, his shop gets sealed. A salaried employee misses an EMI, recovery agents show up at his door. But what happens when the borrower is powerful enough to change the rules of the game itself? What happens when the borrower is not just a billionaire, but a sitting member of parliament, with friends in every ministry, and a private jet always ready? This is not just the story of one man's greed. This is the story of how a broken system allowed crores of rupees of public money to simply walk out of India on a Jet Airways flight with 55 suitcases. This is the business Blackbook, where billion-dollar empires are built and collapse. Let us start from the very beginning, because to understand how Vijay Mallya stole thousands of crores, you first need to understand how he built an empire worth believing in. The year is 1915. India is still under British rule. Across the country, small beer companies are operating to supply alcohol to British soldiers. These are scattered, unorganized, and individually weak. Then a man named Thomas arrives. He consolidates all of these small breweries into a single unified company. That company is called the United Breweries Group. The foundation of what will eventually become one of India's most recognized business houses has just been laid. Now enter a sharp, perceptive businessman named Vittal Mallya. He studies this company carefully. He reads its balance sheet, and he sees something most others miss. He believes this company will grow. So quietly, patiently, over many years, he starts buying its shares. At a time when nobody else is paying attention. At a time when nobody else sees the value. He keeps buying, again and again, until he becomes the single largest shareholder of the United Breweries Group. The year 1947 arrives. The British leave India. And when they leave, the command of this company needs to transfer to an Indian. Vittal Mallya, now 22 years old, intelligent, educated, and holding the majority of shares, is elected first as director and then as chairman of the UB Group. Under his leadership, the company accelerates rapidly. By 1951, UB Group acquires McDowell and several other companies. The empire is expanding. In 1955, on the 18th of December, Vittal Mallya and his wife Lalitha have a son. They name him Vijay Mallya. Now Vijay is not growing up in an ordinary household. While other children in India are playing in the streets with whatever they can find, Vijay Mallya is riding battery-operated cars that most Indians haven't even seen. When he enters St. Xavier's College, he doesn't arrive quietly. He removes the silencer from his car, so it roars as he enters the campus. He wants heads to turn. He wants people to look. This instinct, to be seen, to be loud, to be larger than life, will define everything he does for the next 40 years. Vittal Mallya has already decided that Vijay will inherit this empire. So in 1970, he sends Vijay to the University of California to study business management and international trade law. He then arranges an internship for him at the American arm of the UB Group. Vijay learns. He observes. He absorbs how large organizations are structured and managed abroad. When Vijay returns to India, he immediately begins implementing what he has learned. He notices that the UB Group has no formal corporate hierarchy. Every manager reports directly to Vittal Mallya. This is inefficient. Vijay restructures everything. He creates positions of vice president and assistant vice president. He builds layers of reporting. He introduces structure. Under this new framework, the company runs more smoothly. Productivity improves. Vijay is proving himself. Then comes 1977. A new government arrives in India and bans alcohol across the country. For the UB Group, whose primary revenue comes entirely from liquor, this is an existential threat. Rival companies panic. Owners of liquor businesses start selling off their assets at whatever price they can get. The industry is on the verge of collapse. But Vittal Mallya and Vijay think differently. Vittal believes that no government in India can sustain an alcohol ban for long. It has never worked anywhere in the world. So instead of selling, they start buying. They acquire assets from panicking competitors at rock-bottom prices. And exactly as Vittal predicted, the ban is lifted. Alcohol is allowed again. And now the UB Group owns assets that its competitors had thrown away in fear. This one decision essentially eliminates most of their competition overnight. Around the same time, Vijay is going through old company documents and discovers that the UB Group had once acquired a company called Castle Breweries. This company had a logo featuring a bird, a kingfisher. He likes it. He modifies it. He relaunches it. In 1978, Kingfisher beer is born. The brand starts small. Due to licensing restrictions in the liquor industry, it cannot be sold pan-India immediately. It runs in select states and generates modest profit. But Vijay doesn't stop. He studies the distribution problems in the beer industry and begins solving them one by one. He notices that beer demand in southern India is consistent throughout the year, but in the north, demand drops completely in winter, forcing northern plants to shut down seasonally while the south runs short of supply. Vijay reorganizes the distribution system so that northern production continues through winter and feeds the southern market. Supply chains are rationalized. Efficiency improves. He then addresses the bottle problem. Dealers were taking bottles and returning fewer than they collected. Those they did return were often cheap imitations purchased from scrap dealers. The UB Group was spending enormous amounts simply maintaining its bottle inventory. Vijay replaces bottles with cans. Problem solved. He also recognizes that Kingfisher beer with 4% alcohol was competing against whiskeys that offered higher intoxication at the same price. Consumers were choosing whiskey. Vijay launches a stronger variant with 8% alcohol. Demand for beer surges. By 1986, Kingfisher has overtaken every competitor to become India's largest selling beer brand. But Vijay Mallya is not just a product man. He is a marketer of rare genius. And he understood something deeply. In India, alcohol cannot be advertised directly. So he found a way around it. He launched Kingfisher Soda, Kingfisher Water, Kingfisher branded merchandise, and advertised those. The Kingfisher name flooded billboards, events, and television screens across the country, without once showing a beer bottle. He launched the Kingfisher calendar, personally selecting models, shot by Atul Kaspakar. The calendar became a cultural phenomenon. Deepika Padukone and Katrina Kaif were among those who appeared in it before their film careers began. He launched Kingfisher Derby, Kingfisher Awards, Formula One sponsorships. He even named his own home Kingfisher Villa. The brand stopped being just a beer. It became a lifestyle, a symbol of aspiration, available in more than 50 countries across the world. The UB Group, that had a valuation of 40 crores when Vijay Mallya took over, reached a valuation of 6,000 crores within a few years. The doubters had been silenced. The empire was real. But here is where the story begins to change direction. The liquor industry in India is deeply entangled with government. State governments control pricing, licensing, distribution permissions, and tax structures. Without government support, no liquor company can operate at scale. Vijay Mallya understood this perfectly. So in 2002, he contested elections and won a seat as an independent member of the Rajya Sabha from Karnataka with support from Janata Dal in Congress. The flamboyant businessman had now become a respectable parliamentarian. His political connections became a structural part of his business armor. And then on the 15th of November 2004, he makes a phone call to his most trusted CFO Nitin Gadi and tells him something that stops Nitin Gadi cold. He wants to launch an airline, Kingfisher Airlines. The CFO is against it. The board is against it. Kalyan Ganguly, MD of UB Group, argues openly that this is a mistake. But Mallya has made up his mind. He wants to gift the airline to his son Siddharth on his 18th birthday, the 7th of May 2005. He invests 400 crores of his own money and begins preparation. The airline launches 2 days late, on the 9th of May 2005. But when it launches, the entire country notices. Kingfisher Airlines offered something no Indian airline had offered before. Individual screens at every seat. Headphones provided. Trained cabin crew personally selected by Mallya. Premium food. The experience was designed to feel like business class at economy prices. People loved it. Awards came quickly. Page 3 coverage was constant. The brand was working, but the fundamentals were not. From the very first year of operation, Kingfisher Airlines never made a profit. Not in 2005. Not in 2006. Not ever. But instead of addressing costs, Mallya kept spending. He ordered more aircraft. He expanded routes. He chased growth. And when cash ran short, he went to the banks. The first consortium loan came through the State Bank of India, which assembled 17 banks together to pass the loan. A consortium structure where multiple banks share the risk. But the risk assessment was not honest. Then in 2007, Mallya makes a decision that many analysts point to as the turning point. He acquires Air Deccan without studying its balance sheet, without due diligence. He simply buys it. Air Deccan was the opposite of Kingfisher. It was a no-frills airline. Cheap tickets, minimal services, 2 toilets on a plane, remove 1 and add 2 more seats. Its entire model was built on the idea that Indian travelers want to get from one city to another at the lowest possible cost. And it was profitable precisely because it understood this. Mallya immediately rebrands it as Kingfisher Red. And then he makes a critical error. He improves its facilities. He raises its standards. He increases its prices. Because he believes that the Kingfisher name cannot be associated with anything cheap. In doing so, he destroys the one thing that made Air Deccan valuable. Its affordability. Passengers who flew Air Deccan for low prices now find Kingfisher Red is more expensive. They move to other budget carriers. And Kingfisher Red begins bleeding money alongside the original Kingfisher. 2 failing airlines. 1 owner. The cost structure at Kingfisher was already dangerously high. To attract experienced pilots and senior aviation staff, when it launched, Mallya had offered salary hikes of up to 75% over competitor packages. Operations were expensive, fuel costs were high, and the global recession of 2008 arrived and crushed the aviation industry worldwide. Oil prices shot up, passenger numbers dropped, revenue fell across the sector. But where other airlines cut costs and retreated, Mallya doubled down. In June 2009, he bought more aircraft. In October 2010, he ordered even more. By this time, the financial picture of Kingfisher was catastrophic. Vendors were not being paid. Oil companies HP and Bharat Petroleum stopped supplying fuel to Kingfisher because outstanding bills were unpaid. Indian Oil agreed to continue only if payment was made in advance. Airports in Bangalore and Hyderabad began demanding landing fees up front. Staff salaries were stopped for months. Pilots threatened to strike. Checks issued to vendors began bouncing. The CFO of Kingfisher was actually held in contempt by GMR Hyderabad International Airport when a check of 50 lakhs bounced. And while all of this was happening, Vijay Mallya was throwing 3-day birthday parties, featuring international musicians, flying his hybrid dogs, worth crores, in his private jet, buying a second Mercedes in the same model because the first one was too old, even when told there were already 18 to 20 cars at the destination with no parking space. His response to being told not to buy more cars, he ordered 2 of the same model. Just to make the point, he had fixed his own salary from Kingfisher at 33 crores per year, and he paid himself on time. Every time. He was also spending millions at auctions. Tipu Sultan's sword, Gandhiji's belongings, properties in Europe. A firm named Gizmo Holdings was incorporated abroad, with money flowing through it in ways the banks in India were not seeing. In December 2011, The union minister revealed in Parliament that Kingfisher had not paid service tax worth more than 150 crores for 2 consecutive years. Banks finally began to see what was actually happening. Some declared Kingfisher a non-performing asset. Others went further and labeled Vijay Mallya a willful defaulter, meaning the default was not due to inability. It was a choice. Here is the thing that needs to be understood carefully. The banks had given these loans based on brand valuation. Government banks valued the Kingfisher brand at 160 crores. But Grant Thornton, an independent audit firm, had calculated the same brand value at 4,100 crores. That gap between 160 and 4,100 crores is the gap between honest accounting and inflated hope. Banks lent against a valuation that had no relationship to reality. And when Kingfisher collapsed, and banks tried to recover money by selling the brand, Fly Kingfisher, Fly the Good Times, Fun Liners, the Kingfisher name, nobody came to buy. Not a single rupee came back from those assets. In February 2012, all of Kingfisher's accounts were frozen. On the 20th of October 2012, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation suspended Kingfisher's flying license permanently. Every domestic and international route shut down. Thousands of employees lost their jobs overnight. The same employees who had been promised a great future with a salary hike of 75%. Meanwhile, Vijay Mallya continued attending Rajya Sabha sessions. He continued appearing at IPL matches. He continued his lifestyle without visible disruption. CBI began its inquiry. And on the 16th of October 2015, it issued a lookout notice to immigration authorities. If Vijay Mallya attempts to leave the country, stop him and inform CBI immediately. Do not let him exit. But then something happened that has never been fully explained. On the 24th of November 2015, specific words in that lookout notice were changed. The notice now read, if Vijay Mallya is seen at the airport, ask him where he is going, inform CBI of his destination, but do not stop him from leaving India. Subramanian Swamy publicly alleged that Mallya had traveled to Delhi, met with a powerful figure, and had the notice altered to permit his movement. The banks collectively approached the Debt Recovery Tribunal on the 1st of March 2016. They requested the immediate seizure of his passport. They stated clearly that he would flee. The Supreme Court recognized the urgency. It scheduled a hearing for the 3rd of March. On the 1st of March, Vijay Mallya appeared in Parliament. On the 2nd of March 2016, from Terminal 3 of Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi, he boarded Jet Airways Flight 9W-122 with 55 suitcases and a companion and flew to London. He did not take his private jet this time. He took a commercial flight, so it wouldn't look like what it was, making statements that he is willing to negotiate, while his lawyers ensure that each hearing leads to another hearing. The total loans taken from Indian public sector banks exceeded 7,000 crores. The money of ordinary depositors, teachers, shopkeepers, farmers, salaried workers who trusted government banks with their savings. Now let us understand what this entire story actually reveals. This was not simply a business failure. Businesses fail. Markets turn. Recessions hit. Those are things that happen to honest enterprises and honest people. What happened with Kingfisher was a structured extraction of public money. Loans were issued without adequate security. Brand valuations were inflated beyond any reasonable basis. Political connections were used to change legal notices at critical moments. Shell companies were created abroad. Money was moved internationally while employees went unpaid and vendors received bouncing checks. And throughout all of this, the machinery of the state moved slowly, deliberately, in ways that consistently gave Mallya time. More time than any ordinary borrower would ever receive. There is a pattern in India that this case made visible to millions of people. The system that chases a small borrower relentlessly for a loan of 1 lakh rupees is the same system that watched 7,000 crores walk out of the country without once actually stopping it. The smart person watching this story understands something important. The problem is not Vijay Mallya alone. The problem is the infrastructure around him. The banks that lent without security. The auditors who inflated valuations. The politicians who appeared at his parties and supported his parliamentary candidacy. The regulatory systems that moved with urgency only once it was too late. Financial literacy means understanding not just how money works, but who controls the rules around money. Because whoever controls those rules determines who pays and who doesn't. A financially aware person understands that when a system consistently protects the powerful defaulter and punishes the small one, the solution is not anger. The solution is knowledge. Knowing where the pressure points are. Knowing how institutions actually behave. Knowing that your deposits in a government bank are not automatically safe simply because the government backs them. Vijay Mallya did not break a system that was working. He exploited a system that was already broken. His story is not the exception in Indian finance. It is the clearest example of the rule. And with that, the Black Book closes. Subscribe, and we will open the next page soon.